we are going to give it 30 seconds and we'll get straight into it today. In the meantime, for those of you who are here live, let me know if there's any chart you want to take a look at. Otherwise, we will just run through market overall today. Just wanted to give you guys a bit of a overlooking opinion as to where we think we are. Hype, we'll put it on the list. Cool. All right. I reckon we'll just get started right away. How is everyone doing? Let's get cracking, team. Let's get cracking. All right, we haven't done this one this week, so this is the first live. Let's take a quick peek as to what the dominance is doing, because as we usually do, dominance is so important for altcoins. So we spoke about last week as to we are likely going to retest that level, and specifically this candle. Obviously, last week we had that massive liquidation, which in reverse brought the dominance up. When we have this kind of wicks, and I'll delete that so you can see it, and this, no, we don't need it anymore. When you see this kind of wicks, guys and girls, they usually tend to be filled again. So we will likely see a little bit more bullish price action, I think, on the dominance side of things. So alts will likely be a little bit suppressed for the next week or so, I think, still. So it's not running time just yet. What we do want to see after that is obviously once that wick is retested, we want to see it drop, and we want to see the dominance below 55. Once it drops below 55, we know that alts are going to be ready to make a big move. So in terms of BTC, I don't know if you guys were here last week, but we were discussing some really important levels. Looking at a structural side of things, we obviously had a higher low, higher high. Then we broke structure. We printed a lower low, a lower high. Then we broke structure again by printing a higher low and a higher high. So this was the break of structure again. And then we broke structure again to print a lower low. So market is all over the shop. If you actually look at what's happening at a structural side of things, this is just basically consolidating. It's creating liquidity downside and upside. So it's moving sideways. This is sideways movement. Nothing new in the market. Market moves three ways: moves up, market moves down, and the third way market moves is sideways. Okay, and when you move sideways, is basically showcasing either indecision in the market or simply manipulation to create liquidity on the upside and liquidity on the downside. Now, we do know that obviously we grabbed liquidity already on the upside on 6th of October with an all-time high, and we also grabbed liquidity on the downside with that liquidation event. Where are we at? Good morning, Guppy. Thank you, Legend, for dropping by. Always so good to see you, brother. Back to liquidity. Liquidity up, liquidity down, grabbed and grabbed. So where does that leave us now? Obviously, it leaves us at a higher time frame. We're looking at the daily, but if we actually go onto the weekly, that gives us a little bit more of an idea as to potentially where the next pools of liquidity may be. Okay, you can see obviously this was a nice liquidity grab. There's not a lot of imbalances that we can still fill. Obviously there's one there. This candle right here is being tested already. You can see we came back into it with that liquidation event. What I'm really looking at for Bitcoin though is this level right here. So that high 70s to I guess 80s. And if you look back onto the daily, that level and a little bit higher, the first level of friction in the market, which we will likely go and retest better than this little wick, is going to be that $100,000. So I do think this is this price action the last 3 days, 4 days, whatever that is. This is likely going to push us higher into this imbalance, so mid 110s to 120. From there, we will likely see some shorting opportunities, I think. So something like this, come back into this level, and then we'll have to reassess as to what the market gives us. Of course, we're not just guessing, but looking at, once again, daily, this is the level that I'm interested in, which is that weekly, which we were just looking at. Lots of imbalances, nice little sell to buy move. So this is the two levels that I'm looking at currently for BTC. First level is around the corner. Once we basically short from here, that's what I'll be looking at. And the second level is down here. So overall, I am going to be looking for shorts rather than longs. And for shorts, of course, is going to have to be somewhere in this vicinity. So basically anywhere between 115 to 125 is going to be my range. It is a large range, but we will have to see how lower time frame react. Okay, so you can see this was an analysis that we did on lower time frame. There's just liquidity everywhere. First grab, second grab, third grab. So last week we were just talking a lot about liquidity, which is such an important concept when we trade, and not too many people fully understand what it is and why it's so important. So low time frame at the moment, there's not a whole bunch of price action that I really love. I do like this 3 candles down here, which was like a sell and then another sell, but nothing overly clear for me. So I will be waiting for potentially price action to develop back into that area which we just highlighted around here. And I do need to also have a look if we push a little bit higher, potentially into this one big buy to sell move right there. Beautiful candle. And also there's another one up there at the 125. So those are my kind of like my extreme levels for BTC to short. And if we also take our handy dandy fib level, let me just make it solid so you guys can see a little bit better. We can see that those two levels coincide around the 886, and one is actually a little bit further. So perfect alignment. If we go up there, I would love to short around the 120 personally. I think that's psychological level as well as 786. So we will have a look as to what price action does. And if you're not going to be in front of the charts, all you have to do is literally just put a little alert. So you can put an alert when at 120 or thereabouts, just like that. And you will get a little notification when price does get reach that level. So if you're out and about doing things like I am, or you're just busy at work, you'll get notified. But look, tentatively, that's kind of the setup that I'll be looking at. So something like this, right? And then obviously this can turn into a very nice swing if we go back into those low 100s that we were looking at. That's the daily level. You can see potentially a retest of that body would take us around the 1 to 5, depending on where we're short. But I do like the setup. That's kind of what I'll be looking at for BTC. We can leave it on the chart and come back to it next week. So BTC, let it go up. I'm not going to chase any buys here, in case someone is wondering. Aussie, should we buy then if it's going to go back up there? I'm personally not, because I do think we're bearish at a higher time frame. So chasing a buy now could see you wrecked. There is liquidity on lower time frame below here that we can come and grab for more equal lows. There's obviously a lot more down here. This big sell to buy that we can come back and retest on the 1 hour. Let me know if I'm going too fast, guys. I'm just assuming that this stream, since I'm seeing some expert faces into the live, I'm going a little bit faster, but if I'm going too fast, just tell me to slow down. You can see 1 hour there. So we could see potentially, you know, some grab and then obviously go lower. So I'm not gonna try to go against the markets in the higher time frame. Personally, I do think we're gonna go lower, but we need to go higher first. Let's see. And if we don't get up there, we don't get up there. There's gonna be another setup around the corner. Okay. Next up, let's take a look at ETH, because ETH we talked about last week at a higher time frame. There you go, still on the chart. I do want to see ETH come back into this level right here, this candle, weekly candle. Okay, so that 2,550 to 222 that's the level that I'd be looking at potentially for ETH for a long. I do think, unlike BTC, of course, which I don't know if you remember last week, I have probably a 60-40 opinion that this could have been the top. So I'm leaning towards this was the top for this cycle, 126. Unlike BTC, which in my opinion could potentially have topped already, I do think ETH could have another go at printing some all-time high, purely because of obviously money rotation. So I don't know if you ever seen those charts, how the money flows, but basically the way money flows is there is obviously fiat, then there's gold, then there's BTC, there's other assets, of course. Then after BTC, we have alts, and that obviously include ETH, SOL, etc. And then from alts, you have mid cap, then you have small caps, right? And then guess what? It just repeat. So basically, we go back into fiat, gold, BTC, and it's a cycle, right? It's just literally it's a cycle that goes one to the other, to the other, to the other, to the other, and then boom, goes back up. So at the moment, obviously, we are definitely here. Gold has just had a massive run. Next level down in the hierarchy of things is going to be BTC, which we will see some inflows into BTC potentially this week, right, or next week or this month, which is going to give us that push that we just talked about. So give us that last push up, and maybe even do retest the all-time highs. Maybe, who knows? But then we will see that bearish price action, and that's when obviously we will see money flowing into other alts, ETH and SOL. So all this to explain that I am waiting for that last push on BTC, and then I want to see all the other alts run. And ETH, I do think will potentially have one last, maybe two last nice swings. We're looking at a weekly here, so got to understand the time frame and the context. Something like this could be a very nice swing on ETH, 1 to 5. Once we get down there, and potentially, even a little bit lower, somewhere there in the, if we were to longer the 786 exactly, that will be 1 to 6, which is a beautiful risk to reward on a nice long swing. And obviously, if we do end up in some of the fib extensions, which we like to take profit on, the first fib extension will be a 1 to 8, second fib extension will be a 1 to 9, and the last fib extension will be a 1 to 10. So beautiful potential swing there for ETH once we get down there, but we need to get down there first, okay? And obviously we do have that 50% level that we're going to have to invalidate first, so that this level right here, which is the 3,200 to 27, this is going to be our first test, where we'll obviously be reassessing in terms of how strong does ETH look, but you can definitely see there is all this juicy, almost equal low. Yeah, no, they are. Yeah, equal lows right there. That market will definitely come back and take, because that is just a pit stop, right? For smart money, for market to refuel, to go higher. But you got to remember, if we do, come back and reverse at the 50% area, so if we do come back down here, reverse at the 50%, you got to think of the market like a bit of a swing. So the harder it pulls down, the higher it swings up. So obviously 50% will not give us that really nice, potentially, fib extension into 6,000 and so forth. So just be mindful as to where we do react once we get down there. But for now, we could potentially have a bit of a play in some short ETH if we do get down. But I want to see what's going to happen by the end of this weekend first, because there's nothing that jumps out immediately. And admittedly, I have not really had too much of a look at the charts because I've been flat out in real life. So I do see a nice potential short here. I don't love these kind of candles. I'll make them a little bit bigger. Yes, they're the last buy to sell, but they don't take out any liquidity. So this, I'm referring to this little white doji here. It's not really too nice, and it has been mitigated somewhat. So nothing for me to just to say, yep, this is definitely a setup I would love to take. Nothing there. There is some, once again, potential shorts up here into the 4-7 onto the 1 hour, and the 1 hour, that 4 hour candle we were just looking at just now, that this was the 1 hour, I think. It's a little bit better than the 4 hour that we were looking at. Let's have a look if it was the same. Yes, it was. Yeah, it's a little bit better. So look, potentially around the 4.3, 4.4, we could have a nice short, but fib level wise, you know, if this is the latest price action, we'll do obviously high to low. That's sitting in no man's land, so not really going to take it. That's way up there, not really going to take it either. I will be interested potentially at this level here. That's a little bit spank on the 786 1 hour. So I can probably delete that. I don't like that. And this hour candle here would have a bit more interest for me, which is also at a psychological level of the 4.5. So if we do have that push on ETH up there, something like this could be, and you can be a bit more generous with your stop loss and put the stop loss at the end of that imbalance right there, and obviously go somewhere down there into that next liquidity pool. So this is a short that I wouldn't mind, and I can move this long because this is not going to be for a while. This is a short that potentially we could be taking soon-ish on ETH, depending on how obviously lower time frame pans out. But yeah, put it on your radar once again. You can set an alert at 4,400 just so that you don't miss out. But I do expect some reversal back to the downside on ETH. These are nice equal highs down there, which is obviously a nice little magnet. We like those. That's liquidity. Market, come back up here. There, we haven't seen one of those in a while, so you can see right here equal highs. So let's wait and see. One way that I was speaking about it last week, I like to draw liquidity and then just basically just say liquidity full taken, and I get an alert once the market comes back into those liquidity pools and grabs it, because that allows me to enter a short as opposed to be on the chart all the time, which we don't have time to. So ETH, just wait for market to get back up and we can catch the move down. SOL, very similar price action. In fact, pretty much all of them I've got very similar price action. These weeks that we had, obviously with that liquidation event, are just ugly, but a lot of them I think will get filled out again. In terms of where SOL is at, I do like the fact that we came back into pretty much, I think that was just by eyeballing. Yeah, look at that, hey? Imagine when people tell you that FIB don't work. Imagine thinking that FIB don't work. Look at the market where it reversed. What do you guys see? Chat, what do you see? Let me know if I'm just talking to myself, if you guys are here. Give me some typey. What do we see? Ah, Breed, welcome back, fam. Do you see what I'm looking at? From the last high to the last low, market reverses back into what? Into perfectly smack into that 786 level, right? Yeah, 786 to the T. These are all mathematical algorithms, guys. This is not magic. Like, we're not, I'm not a shaman or anything like that. This is how smart money algorithms work. Okay. So, yep, definitely I like that. I like the fact that it respected. And now obviously we've got to look at what is going to be next in terms of price action. We have taken, as with many other alts, liquidity on the downside, and we could potentially come back and retest some of these liquidity pools up here. So let's just see how far back up we go on SOL, because similar to ETH, of course, once money starts flowing outside of BTC and back into alts, we might see a bit of a rally. But in the shorter term, we could potentially see some shorts on SOL around the 230-ish. I do see this beautiful candle up here. That will be my preferred short level. So 253, this one daily candle, which was the last candle. Oh, that was the wrong tool. From there to there, daily candle. This is definitely the one that I love to short from, ideally. But we'll see if we get up there. What else? Because you can see, I don't know if you guys can see from the screen, but I'm gonna draw it for you. You can see this daily candle, which was the 786 we just highlighted, perfectly goes and mitigates, meaning it goes back into that last buy to sell candle. Can you see it? So this was the candle right here. Candle touches it, mitigates it, and then obviously we have the last drop. So this was a manipulation, this was another manipulation, and usually we see a retest of those manipulation candles. So we will see, But for SOL, first level that I'll be looking at is definitely this this right here. Okay. So we're looking at daily here, of course. In terms of hourly, 4 hour, I haven't even looked, because at the moment, we're just basically moving sideways as well. So you can see this sideways movement, up, liquidity grab, down, liquidity grab, and then we'll likely see some more sideways movement. This kind of looks like it is forming a bit of a harmonic, but yeah, on the 1 hour, I'm not a huge fan of harmonics, even though I do love them, as you know. Not on the 1 hour, it's a little bit tricky, because they can come back past the 1 sometimes. So something like this could be something on SOL, but shorter term, this will be more like a scalp. We shall see. So I'm going to be patient for ETH. I'm going to be patient for BTC. And for XRP, looks like we are pushing a little bit more. Just by looking at it, obviously, we are now seeing some potential rejection here from this level. Let's see if we can come back up here higher, or if we do tend to go back down lower on XRP. I wouldn't necessarily, this could be, if you guys are scalpers, this not against a very tight scalp here, very tight, just by looking at a 4 hour, because we did basically, you love your scalps. You can see we came back into this last candles. You can see that we had this equal, let me just draw it properly. We have all these equal highs, which we just grabbed with that last 4 hour candle push up. See the big wick, small body, signals indecision in the market. This is on the 4 hour, so we would have to do our due diligence, go back into the 1 hour. The 1 hour is a beautiful candle there. You can see big, once again, draw wrong tool. Big explosive move up, and immediately invalidated by not an engulfing, but definitely a big move down. So this looks like it could be a nice scalp for XRP. If you guys want to take a weekend trade, this could be it for XRP, something like this. But it would have to be a very tight stop loss, because there is a chance we'll go back up. I do like the fact that we already grabbed the liquidity, so something like this, we take profit along the way. I'll probably do TP1 there at that level, and we would do definitely TP1 at this equal lows down here, TP2, and oh, that's a nice. We could even do multiple TPs, because in these unsure conditions, you might be lucky and also catch a nice swing. So the best case scenario is you enter a nice little scalp and it turns into a swing. those are the best case scenarios. So this will be my final TP probably into this last sell to buy. But yeah, I like this. So this is a clear 1 to 3.5 almost live trade right here. So if you want to take this XRP trade, just broken it down for you. Any question on this XRP trade? Why I like it? Just want to make sure you guys understand why. What's the difference between what we just looked at? Yeah, I can recap, no problem. So on a daily, we just looked at where we at. Looks like we are consolidating, moving sideways as with Sol, as with many others. But if you look at the difference between Sol, so you can see we got up, down, and then up. We are kind of halfway between the last high and the last low. See that we're like, if I was to literally just draw a box here, so this is my range, right? So daily range. Can you see that I'm like kind of halfway between the low and the high? As opposed to, say, for example, XRP, where the same box, the same range, right? So this was the high, this was the low. That's my range. Where am I right now on XRP? Am I at the high? Am I at the low? Am I in the middle? Or am I at the top? Am I at the top, right? Do I want to long at the top? Or am I better potentially looking for shorts? Or at least trying a short at the top? I want to short from the top, right? I want to long at the bottom. I want to short at the top. So I definitely don't want to short in the middle of a move, because that's just not good. The risk to reward is not good. So, and ETH, same thing, right? Like if you just look at it, this was the high, low. So this was my last range, daily range. Sorry, there. Daily range, same. We just discussed with Sol. I'm not at the bottom, I'm not at the top, I'm in the middle. So I'm in no positions at the moment, whereas XRP is the only one that is kind of giving me, okay, at least we can attend, because we are at the top of the range, right? If you don't obviously look at the last few moves on the 4 hour, this would have been, this is the structure. This is clicking, awesome. That's what we want. Low, high, low, high, low, high. Now, do we do another lower low? Do we do, sorry, higher low? Do we do a lower low? What do we do? But market doesn't move straight, right? Market moves zigzag. So that's why I like XRP over, Sol or ETH or BTC. So while scalping, you always check the daily charts for absolute. That's a great question, Britt. So for those of you who are watching the recording and are not seeing the comment, Britt just asked, for even for scalping, do we always check the daily? The answer is 100% yes. Daily gives us a better bias, stronger bias always from the higher time frame. If you just go straight into a 5 minutes chart, what do you get here? Like this tells me I'm bullish. It's making higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. I don't have a bias, right? I'm missing the large picture here. If I go straight into in a 5 minutes, I'm just gonna long this chart. If I'm gonna go straight into a 50 minutes chart, this is the bullish chart. Oh yeah, great, broke structure, just making higher highs. But if you actually go into a daily first, you get an idea as to where are you at in the range, right? So that's what you want to do. I always put a line between the high and the low candle of the first 4 hour candle. That might help. Yeah, so 4 hours obviously a good indicator, because it's kind of like a slightly higher time frame, or I guess higher time frame than minutes, but it's not quite as high. I do love the 4 hour. It's probably one of my favorite too. But daily is my favorite time frame, because it gives you a really, really good idea as to where you are. Of course, 3 days and weekly for those, you know, macro moves, but daily always start. I never not check the daily. And then 4 hour gives you it's the first insight of the low time frame for the way I trade. I know the 4 hour might be a high time frame for some of you guys, but for me it's a low time frame. But yeah, you can see 4 hour What we do have as well, another reason why I do like it, because we obviously a high, we obviously had a low. You can consider this intra-structure, right? But if you actually look at this as a one move, which could very well be, you can see that we didn't actually print a higher high, because this candle right here closed below this candle right here, closed below this candle right here. Okay, so we technically printed a higher low, a lower high, which means hopefully we get, yeah, something like this, or maybe something like this, and we go back and invalidate these equal lows down here. Once you see liquidity, you cannot unsee it. Yeah, that's obviously liquidity down there. So yep, I'm short on XRP. If you guys wanna take this trade, looks like we might just starting to move soon-ish. There's still time. A little bit slow, but there's definitely, as you can definitely see, this liquidity pool down there. About to be grabbed. So I'm on live. I'll ping it as soon as I'm not on live. But yeah, if you guys want to take it now, it's basically from current market price. From now, you can just press sell and just put the stop loss from whatever price feed. So if you're trading on Binance, obviously use Binance price feed. If you trade on MEXC, use MEXC price feed. But from whatever the latest high was, just put your stop loss a little bit higher. Okay, not by much, but yeah, just a little bit higher. This is definitely a live trade. And that is pretty much it. We did have a request coming in the chat early, which was Hype. Let's have a look at Hype. Obviously, this coin has done fantastic numbers from inception, but looks like now, see, this is what I don't like. I can't remember who it was that said Hype. It was next. Okay, looking at this chart, what do you see next down here? If you're still on live. Are you still in there? And if you are, I want to know. Support. Not quite. You rephrase liquidity. See equal lows? That is just money sitting down here. People have stop losses. People have orders. And all those things contribute to what? Pools of liquidity. So if I was to look at this chart, oops, sorry, still got my drawing tool. If I was to look at this chart right now, add a daily, which is like we just discussed, what I always look at. Nice high, nice low, break a structure, high, low. This is a beautiful short coming up right very soon on Hype. I think potentially first level of short there, and the second level of short could be somewhere above this. Equal highs on a daily, which I'm sure if we go onto a 4-hour, it will be, yep, somewhere there. So you can start shorting somewhere there. Sorry. Into that liquidity pool. That's setup 2 and setup 1. If you want it to be a bit more conservative, you can do this, and that will be a nice tight stop loss. But yeah, I do see some shorts opportunity there on Hype. Personally, to set up just there. I'm not necessarily fond of the first one, just because it's in the middle of a move. So if you look at what we were just discussing, which is your range, this was the high, this was the low, so high to low. Let's box it up, right? And daily range, you can see we are right now in the middle of a move, right? We're not at the low, we're not at the high, we're in the middle of a move. So I don't necessarily want to short from here. I don't like that. I'd rather wait for a better risk to reward. So handy dandy fib, you can see that level is closer to the 76, and you could potentially sometimes even enter your short from that liquidity pool, which was those equal highs that we were looking at, and you can see that's a much nicer risk to reward there. So 1 to 5. That would be a preferred short. Hope that answer the question in terms of hype. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't long it now. I would definitely wait for a short opportunity there. Any interested in stocks? I have been looking at a couple. I am waiting. I am waiting for some setups. I've been looking at Double Verify. It's a chart that has been basically doing low after low after low. So we don't have any structural support or any structural yet to go by, but I am definitely seeing this stock going up in value. So you can put it on your watch list now. I didn't want to call it out at a low because you can see this stock has just been making low, high, low. Sorry, low, 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 higher, low, higher, low. They're all lows until it starts breaking some structure. I don't really want to gamble with anyone's finances here. So let's just wait to see some proper break of structure first. And then we can enter on a retest. But I do really like Double Verify for a next stock call. Qualcomm is something I'll be looking at. I want to see this trend line taken out. Nothing there. We have been calling coffee. Coffee's just been making an absolute run. And Snapchat, we're still in Snapchat. Target is something that I don't know if you guys remember, we exited Target. I did say we were going to go lower, we did, so we exited Target here, we went lower, but it's showing some strength. So I think the fundamental call that we did was right. I'm not going to call it just yet again. I do like the volume that it's getting. So it's getting some nice volume. I was looking the other day, so that was a nice volume there. Big push down. We enter that. We're sitting into a macro 786 at A6 level. I'll show you what I mean. So we are there. Big push down. But I do see target potentially coming back into the 140, 150 soonish. Before we get down there, give me another push down into this level. So target at $91 if you want to put a little alert there, bus. It could be a buy. So move like this into the 90s or back into 88 could give us a nice opportunity there. So target is one there that I'm potentially interested in. But other than that, team, if there's no other question, I might actually, yeah, all good, fam, all good. If there is no other questions, let's have a look in the chat. No, all good. No worries, mate. No worries. Anytime. Any other questions, team? We're going to put this into what we discuss today. So target, we are waiting on this level. No, all good. Your beauty. All right, team. Well, make sure that if you do take the XRP trade, which is a live trade, of course, looks like it's moving now. Just be tight with your stop loss. You don't want to, yeah, be overly generous with the market in this case. But yep, if not, have a great Sunday and yes, take care. Chat soon. Bye.